Jaya Radha Madhav नवदीप धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, द्वारका धाम की जय, स्वामी भक्तवृंद की जय, और ग्लोरी से और ग्लोरी से जय राधा माधव जय राधा माधव
Hare Krishna, Madhuvan Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Oh, glory.
I wish Prabhupada, waiting for Advaita Krishna Prabhu. I don't know why the other students are not here by now. Prabhu is not very comfortable with the students not coming early. He comes here and then there are, he comes in and the students are coming to at their own timing. He has to come and wait for the students. It's not appropriate. That's why he's not coming early enough. Madam Prabhu, since you are always first coming.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So Prabhu, as explained, I've been I'm in the middle of things. I've explained to Prabhu, so Prabhu, you permit me. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. So we hope the other devotees join in.
Yes,
I wanted to say that, and I said that to Salika also, that there was a huge effort was done before to relaunch the rest of the study of Bhakti Vaibhava. But when we see again devotees slacking, not being on time and not, participating in the class, and it's very disheartening for one and all. So, you have to encourage your friends and everyone has to participate. Like I said, you miss this opportunity to finish this Bhakti Vaibhava. It's not going to be another opportunity. And time and life will pass us by. So let's take this very seriously. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tashmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayham Dadati Sapadantikam Navandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamanam Sri Gurung Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sivishakhan Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Shigaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Grandharaja Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So we have 7 verses left. And so I will use this program to read because my iPad is not working for 10 minutes or so. It will just get back on. Hare Krishna. So it will be text 26. Just give me a minute. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narotamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishniki Kantaraja Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Shri Srinita Gaura Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So on the text 26 of chapter 16, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Eto Sure Taragatim Pratipadya Sadhya Samrambham Sambrita Samadhyam Anubadha Yogo Bhuya Sakashang Upayasya Taso Vai Tapo Maeva Nimitastadeva Vipraha. The Brahmanas, the Lord replied, O Brahmanas, know that the punishment you inflicted on them was originally ordained by me. And therefore they will fall to a birth in a demoniac family. But they will be firmly united with me in thought, through mental concentration intensified by anger. And they will return to my presence shortly. So when the four Kumaras said that we are willing to accept any punishment and we submit ourselves in simplicity without any duplicity to the wish of your divine grace, Lord Vishnu. So we accept without duplicity whatever punishment or reward you ordain on these innocent persons. And you realize that they had birth two innocent personalities. Okay. My dear friends, please unmute. Mute. Mute. Hare Krishna. It just everyone mute. Hare Krishna. So the Brahmanas, O Brahmanas, know that the punishment, now I want someone to explain this to me. O Brahmanas, know that the punishment you inflicted on them was originally ordained by me. And therefore they will fall to a birth in a demoniac family. What does that statement mean? In simple terms, someone? Can you read this? Maybe I should share screen. Just wait a minute. Maybe I should share screen. Can you read this now?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay, so, O Brahmanas, know that the punishment you inflicted on them was originally ordained by me, and therefore they will fall to a birth in a demonic family. What does that mean, this statement here? This.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
The situation is such that everything is predetermined by Krishna and for his own particular motive. So,
okay. Yeah, that's it. It is Krishna's arrangement. So it is saying that it is ordained by me. So that punishment you inflicted on them, it could not be your punishment, my dear friend, because this is my realm. This is Vaikuntha here. I'm the supreme controller. Everything goes according to my wish. But at the same time, I had already arranged that they will fall. So you just come in and you act like you press the switch, in a sense. The Brahmanas come and press the switch, but the whole thing has been arranged to go in a certain way. There's just someone to cut the ribbons or to press the switch. That's all. But the whole arrangement for their fall down is been ordained by me, and that they will fall to a birth in a demoniac family. But they will be firmly united with me. He's already arranged that they'll be united with me. But how? In thought, through mental concentration intensified by anger. Intensified by anger. And they will return to my presence shortly. So they will be always thinking of me. Remember the blessing they had requested from the four Kumaras, please do not give us a curse that we will forget the Supreme Lord. Do you follow? Do not give us this curse that we may forget the Supreme Lord. So there it is. Therefore, they will fall in a birth, but they will be united firmly with me in thought through mental concentration intensified by anger. They will be always remembering me, even though in anger, and they will return to my presence shortly. So even if you remember the Lord, the thing is, if you remember the Lord even in angry mood, he may look like it is pratikul, it is not anukul, it is not favorable. But because it is arrangement of the Supreme Lord, then that is what the Lord requires. So let's read. I will just read this here. The Lord said, this is explanation by our Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. These two will immediately become demons, but they will quickly return to me since they will be absorbed in meditation on me in anger. Understand that the curse of yours was made by me. Okay, so Lord speaks to the Kumaras, pacifying them. So it does two things, because they already upset, they already saddened that they had cursed some innocent people. So by the Lord saying that the curse was ordained by me, by saying that the curse was ordained by me, it actually pacifies them so that they do not take the fall for it. So do not fear, he says. They will be united with me by continuous practice of meditation touched with anger. Sharambham, O Brahmanas. Give me a minute. Hey Bhagwan, hey Krishna. Okay, so O Brahmanas, your curse was produced by me in order to have my two servants, the greatest devotees, take on the nature of demons, though they have bodies of pure sattva. They have bodies of pure sattva. They in Shuddha sattva. They are transcendental in nature, right? The greatest devotees of pure sattva, and they have bodies of pure sattva, and are the best devotees and brahmanas. They are the best devotees and brahmanas. They acted unfavorably towards you and made you the best of Atmaramas angry. He said they acted in a way that they made you angry. Do you follow? They acted unfavorably towards you and made you the best of Atmaramas angry. And then you cursed them. And then you cursed them. All this had been done by me only. It is not an offense of my doorkeepers or an offense committed by you. But what is the cause of giving such suffering to these two devotees, since you are affectionate to your devotees? Otherwise, how would you give cause to such devotees? Jai and Vijay, because you're affectionate to devotees. You're a Brahmana. Your heart is pure. Huh? Okay. So all this had been done by me only. It is not an offense of my doorkeepers or an offense committed by you, but what is the cause of giving such suffering to these two devotees? Since you are affectionate to your devotees, O Brahmanas, know the cause. Cause is me. Reflecting carefully, understand, since you are omniscient, what more can I reveal? Here is the cause. Jay and Vijay had a desire arising from prema. Arising from prema. Jay and Vijay had a cause arising from prema. O best Lord, O Lord of Lords, Lord of Vaikuntha. If your fighting instinct is not satisfied because everyone else is so weak, and because we are not your enemies, then make us two gods unfriendly towards you, and you can have pleasure in fighting us, because they are like bouncers. They are pure, advanced, liberated souls, and they are absolutely beyond the modes of nature. They're in Shuddha Sattva. They're extremely strong, almost as strong as the Lord himself. And the Lord is fighting these rascal demons in material nature, and it's like he's killing them like nothing, just wiping, just dusting them off. So he said, because you have such a desire to have a real, real fight. And he said, therefore, why don't you make us your and gods and friendly towards you, and you can have pleasure in fighting us. Since we servants cannot tolerate even a small degree of decrease in your full happiness, we pray that this would be done by necessarily ignoring your quality of affection for your devotee. This is how they had thought. So the Shrutis show the presence of Rasa in the Lord. Raso Vaisaha. The Lord is Rasa itself, Anandamaya. So they know. But they felt like the Lord is not satisfied in this one area of Virya. He hasn't got good, like someone is on a boxing trip and he is big, very powerful. Then he wants bigger and bigger and more powerful opponents to subdue. Then his fame and glory is increased, right? But if he beats up like 10, 12, medium rated boxers, then you said, yeah, but his opponents are not that great, So he said, okay, make us. So we are devotees and we want to please you. So you arrange that. Now the Lord is filled with bliss. Saisanandamasya vimangsa bhavati. This concludes the examination of bliss, Taittiriya. So it should be understood that there are secondary emotions such as desire to fight or to please his devotees in unconventional ways within the broad category of bliss. So this is called Virya Ras, in anger also, Krodha. These are there are the primary rasas and then the secondary rasas. We won't go into the detail of that. So the Lord performs various actions for the pleasure of the devotees according to the following statement. My dear Lord, neither I nor anyone else can estimate the potency of this transcendental body of yours, which has shown such mercy to me and which appears just to fulfill the desires of your pure devotees. Although my mind is completely withdrawn from material affairs, I cannot understand your personal form. So this is a statement in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so in fulfilling the desires of his devotee, the Lord developed another desire, and thus he did not directly reveal the secret to the Kumaras. So this desire of the devotees was not selfish. The Lord had also, because he felt like they had developed this desire. Jay and Vijay had developed this desire because they saw that the Lord wanted to have some real fight, some real lila. So they developed the desire to be participant in that desire to satisfy the Lord. So therefore, then the Lord in return, the Lord developed another desire, and thus he did not directly reveal the secret to the Kumaras. They then thought, even the greatest devotees can fall from Vaikuntha because of great offense. Then they thought, Even the greatest devotees can fall from Vaikuntha because of great offense. What then to speak of where we, who are just dull reflections of sadhakas, can fall from this earth planet? Thus, it should be understood that the Lord desired to warn the sadhakas to be careful of committing great offense. So this is a very, very deep statement. To those Vadis, no leaf from for Vaikuntha. This is a commentary by our illustrious Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And he says, even the greatest devotees can fall from Vaikuntha because of great offense. So watch it. Watch it. Prabhupada was right. That's why I wanted to read this and put it in front of you. So there is this Tattvavadis speaking about the no-fall Tattva. No one, not a leaf fall from Vaikuntha. But why is Vishwanath Chakravarti writing like this? Huh? So they thought, let's use this to satisfy our Lord. Let's go down. And he will arrange for us to go down. And only the Lord can arrange for us to go down. If the Jai and Vijay had fallen because of the curse of the Brahmanas, that would actually dent the tattva, the truth that no one falls from Vaikuntha. Because you can say that someone came from the material world, new devotee cursed someone and they went down. But it was the desire of Jai and Vijay to fight the Lord. But the Lord arranged them to come to the material world to fight. Because there they would be fighting not in rasa, but in actual fear, bhibatsu, in actual desire to kill the Lord. So therefore it will be a genuine match. So it's very deep. Do you have any questions or comments? Please stay relevant. So what then to speak of where you are just dull reflections of sadhakas can fall from this earth planet? Thus, it should be understood that the Lord desired to warn the sadhakas to be careful of committing great offense. So here, that's now Prabhupada's purport. Any questions or comments? Any clarity you need? It's fairly clear. It's a little intricate. Okay, so we'll read purport. The Lord stated that the punishment inflicted by the sages upon the doorkeepers, Jai and Vijay, was conceived by the Lord himself. Without the Lord's sanctions, nothing can happen. It is to be understood that there was a plan in the cursing of the Lord devotees in Vaikuntha, and his plan is explained by many stalwart authorities. The Lord sometimes desires to fight. The fighting spirit also exists in the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, how could fighting be manifested at all? Because the Lord is a source of everything. Anger and fighting also inherent in his personality. When he desires to fight with someone, he has to find an enemy. But in the Vaikuntha world, there is no enemy, because everyone is engaged fully in his loving service. Therefore, he sometimes comes to the material world as an incarnation in order to manifest his fighting spirit. But what had happened, he had not found anyone strong, powerful, good enough. So many demons, big and small. But the demons that come to mind in the Vedic literatures, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Ravan and Kumbhakarna, and Shishupal and Dantavakra. They were powerful guys. So these are the people that come to mind. So these are the powerful ones. Krishna was killing so many demons in Braja, Trinavarta, Bhakasura, Aristasura, Madhu demon, Kaitava demon, and so many other demons. But they were just like, he was just discarding them and breaking them like play doh. Right? But these ones, they are such powerful demons because they are the devotees of the Lord himself who wants to give this kind of show to this material world. Okay? All right. Therefore, no one is able to fight with him. Therefore, because the Lord pastime in the material world always performed within his associates, not with others, he has to find some devotees who will play the part of an enemy. So when it comes to Leela with the Lord, It has to be his parshad, his parikar, his internal circles. Okay? So then he actually arranges it. So my dear Arjuna, both you and I have appeared many, many times. You have forgotten, and I remember. Jai Vijay was selected by the Lord to fight with him in the material world, and that was the reason the sages came to see him, and accidentally the doorkeepers were cursed. So even the sages coming to see him was an arrangement of Krishna, and the accidental, within inverted commas, of a curse, and the anger of Jai and Vijay towards the Brahmanas, and the angry retort of cursing, it was all arranged. It was all a mise en scène, comme on dit. So therefore, just as a theoretical stage, therefore, just as on a theatrical stage, someone takes the part of an enemy to the proprietor of the stage, although the play is a short time, there is no permanent enmity between servant and proprietor. So the Sura Janas, devotees, were cursed by the sages to do the Asura Jana, or atheistic families. So just like, an actor can challenge the proprietor of a theater for a small fight for a little bit, and everyone is thinking, why is he fighting? But he's not fighting. They're friends. But just for a short period of time, it appears like they're fighting. So the Sura Janas were cursed by the sages to go to the Asuras, Jana, or atheistic families. There's also this statement in the text 33, 34, 35, and 36, the 4 Chatushloki Bhagavad verses. In 2.9, second canto, 9th chapter, Chatushloki, that there in the spiritual world, demons and devotees worship the Lord together. So, very hard to reconcile. Are there demons in the spiritual world? In the purport you will read there, and sometimes devotees are unable to explain this. How come there are demons and devotees who worship together in the spiritual world? Here we are, those who take the role of demons, right? Those who take the role of demons. So they identified as, okay, these, like Jai and Vijay, they are identified as doorkeepers, but the most glory is that they also identified as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. So here it is a statement. Therefore, just on it, so the Sura Jana in devotees were cursed by the sages to go to the Asura Jana, or atheistic family. Right? So at one point they are devotees, at one point they're non-devotees. So what is there? How do you identify them? Sometimes as devotees and sometimes as non-devotees, depending on what pastime they're playing with the Lord. So therefore, if a statement comes that in the spiritual world, the demons and the devotees worship the Supreme Lord together, then that is actually the reconciliatory statement here. Is this clear, or is this clear? I hope no one's confused. So that a devotee should come into an atheistic family is surprising, but it is simply a show. After finishing the mock fighting, both the devotee and the Lord are again associated in the spiritual planets. That is very explicitly explained here. The conclusion is that no one falls from spiritual world of Vaikuntha planets, for it is eternal abode. But sometimes, as the Lord desires, devotees come into the material world as preachers or as atheists. So they are devotees. So they come as atheists, they're recognized as atheists. But they are devotees. In each case, we must understand that's the plan of the Lord. Lord Buddha, for example, was an incarnation and he preached atheism. There is no God, but he is God himself. But actually, there was a plan behind this, as explained in Bhagavatam. So there, we actually now understood the whole situation. Many points have come up. In the absolute sense, there is no demon, there's no devotee. Everyone is a servant of the Lord. In the absolute sense, someone can take the role of a demon in this material world because it is a desire of the Lord to show wonderful and wondrous pastimes to attract the conditioned soul. And in the absolute sense, also, if it so happens because of offenses, if had not happened, if that was not a truth, that because of offenses, a Pritak Bhava, a separate mindset, someone can fall from Vaikuntha, the Lord would not have used such an excuse to send Jai and Vijay hurling down from the spiritual world to the material world. He would not undo a truth and create an irreligious way of thinking, because that is a case that devotees can, because of separate mindset and offenses, from for Vaikuntha. That is the statement of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So a lot has been said, a lot has been covered in this one verse. Any comments, any reflections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. My mind went to the statements that Krishna made in the Bhagavad Gita, that I never manifest myself to the foolish and the unintelligent. So that if Krishna even wants a demon, he has to be his devotee. So
he will manifest himself to his devotees. Yeah, he will not manifest himself, but he does manifest himself indirectly to the non-devotees as deaf, but not in his own sweet nature. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samanvita. I'm not manifest to the foolish and the demonic. Yeah. How will he find them? It has to be his internal arrangement according to his antaranga shakti. That's why it's called the play of the Lord. It is his play, which means lila, translated as lila. It is his play. If you had nothing to do, you would play. Means you will enjoy. The Lord has nothing to do, so he plays, and that is his play. He's supremely happy. If okay, Madhavan, if suddenly you have no responsibility of wife and kids and house and home, and just suddenly you have nice facility, what will you do? You'll go out and play.
Yes, I'll be traveling. I'll come to Vrindavan. I'll go to holy places. I'll go on recreations.
Yeah, you'll go on recreation all over. Wherever the best nectar is, where the best kirtan and the best prasadam is, that's where you're going to go. You're going to play. You're not going to perform austerity. You're going to play because you have everything. So the Lord has everything. So all that he does is he plays. He arranges plays. Yes, the techno, come on. Yes, Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, thank you very much for this insight. On the case of Jai and Vijay, we know they became Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Krishna in his Vrindavan Lila has killed so many demons. Can we generalize the understanding that all these demons were just his pure devotees who came to give him a supporting role in his theater or pastime? Can we generalize that?
Yes. Because how would Krishna fight with someone who is in the modes of nature always? So he actually pretends that they fall in the modes of nature. They're actually from Shuddha Sattva platform. So when Krishna actually kills the devatas, the demons in Vrindavan, he's actually showing us how to kill different anarthas. So they represent different anarthas. So he's teaching through his pastimes the great, deceptive, the false guru that represented by Putana and so on and so forth. Yeah, it is. But that's his statement was there by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So that is our Acharya, so we have to accept that. Let's carry on. Brahmavacha athatte munayo drishtva nayanananda bhajanam vaikuntham tat adhishtanam vaikuntham cha swayam prabham. Lord Brahma said, after seeing the Lord of Vaikuntha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the self-illuminated Vaikuntha planet, the sages left that transcendental abode. After seeing the Lord of Vaikuntha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the self-illuminated Vaikuntha planet, the sages left that transcendental abode. Okay? So, Brahma said, the sages, having seen the object of bliss for their eyes, the self-illuminated Lord and his abode, Vaikuntha, circumambulated the Lord and offered him respects, and taking his permission, left that place with great joy and praising the greatness of the Vaishnavas. Which Vaishnavas? Jai and Vijay and all the other Vaishnavas. The Lord is called Vaikuntha, one who resides in Vaikuntha, and his abode is self-illuminating, since they are Shuddha Sattva. Anumanya means taking permission. So Prabhupada's purport, the transcendental abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is stated in Bhagavad Gita and confirmed in this verse is self-illuminated. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that in spiritual world, there is no need of sun, moon, or electricity. This is Bhagavad Gita, yeah? Chapter 15, text 6. Natad bhashete suryo na shashankana pavaka jad gatva nirvantate tad dhamam paramam mama. One who reaches my abode, he does not come back. And my abode, no electricity, no sun, moon. It is self-illuminated. This indicated that all the planets are self-illuminated, self-sufficient and independent. Everything there is complete. Lord Krishna says that one goes to that Vaikuntha planet, he never returns. So the inhabitants of Vaikuntha never returned to the material world, but the incident of Jai Vijay was a different case. So they came to the material world for some time, then they returned to Vaikuntha. Okay, Prabhupada doesn't say more than anything that was said by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in that regard. So, text 28. Bhagavantam parikramya pranipatyanumanya pratigamhu pramudhita sangshanto vinash vaishnavim shriyam. The sages circumambulated the Supreme Lord, offered their obeisances and returned, extremely delighted at learning of the divine opulences of the Vaishnavas. Okay? So there is, Prabhupada is saying that every temple has, Hindu temples have a facility where it is, there's space for circumambulating the deity. 29. The Lord then said to his attendants, Jai and Vijay, depart this place, but fear not. The Lord is kind, he gave them assurance. All glory is unto you. And he said, all glory is Jai to Jai and Vijay. Though I am capable of nullifying the Brahmana's curse, I would not do so. So he can nullify, the Lord can reconcile anything. He can nullify the Brahmana's curse. But he said, I'm not going to do so. On the contrary, it has my approval. The Lord spoke to his two associates, go to the material world, do not be afraid. You will have good fortune. But also, do not go that word. Do not go that world. So he says, do not be afraid, you will have good fortune. Though I can nullify the curse of the Brahmanas, I do not desire to go against my own rules. So seeing that Jai and Vijay had just arrived, the Lord spoke, go to the material world. Seeing them weeping and wailing, the Lord again spoke to them, his heart softened by compassion. Do not fear, do not fear. May you too have good fortune. Do not go there. Always remain serving me in Vaikuntha. I can't understand this, but let's read through. The negative word ma can be used with both yatam and bhashtam. Seeing that they were now happy, he said, though I can nullify the cause of the Brahmanas, I do not desire to destroy my own promise. I have made a rule to accept the inevitability of Brahmana's curse. So if a Brahmana gives a curse, it's inevitable. You cannot stop it. Lord has made that rule. So he says, I'm not going to break my rule. So I will not destroy my promise myself. I have made a rule to accept the inevitability of Brahmana's curse, so just as Garuda sacrificed an expansion of his wing in order to maintain the inevitability of the thunderbolt power. So at one point, Indra had sent a thunderbolt because he's one of the most powerful rulers in the planet, in the universe. So he had sent a thunderbolt. But then there was really no way that the thunderbolt could be stopped, and he had no one that had to be killed by the thunderbolt, but some result had to be given because the thunderbolt had been sent by Indra. So Garuda, he sacrificed an expansion of his wing. So he let the thunderbolt hit part of his wing, and part of his wing was destroyed. So he's saying, just as Garuda sacrificed an expansion of his wing, because once the thunderbolt is released, it has to impact on some object. So he said, okay, I sacrificed my own wing. So he said, just as Garuda sacrificed an expansion of his wing in order to maintain the inevitability of the thunderbolt's power, you should take on the role of demons in one of your expansions. And at that time, remain in Vaikuntha in your Swarupas. So he said, do not go and go at the same time. So he said, this is very interesting. He said, go to the material world. And then he said, do not fear, do not go there. So what does that mean? He said, go and do not go. But then that explanation is given here, just as he says to the demon, you should take on the role of demons in one of your expansions. So they expand, Jan Vijay expand into the demons, and at the same time remain in Vaikuntha in your own original Swarupas. So later this passage is found. Annabridravato drishtva didijani kapan ripa rahasnyanuchara vishnur pratyasedhang udhayudha nanda sunanda tha jayo vijayo prabalo balaha kumudha kumudakshascha vishwaksena pratatritat jayanta shrutadevascha pushpadanto thasvata sarve nagayuta pranas chamumte jagnur ashurim. O king, when the associates of Lord Vishnu saw the soldiers of the demons coming forward in violence, they smiled. Taking up the weapon, they forbade the demons to continue their attempt. Nanda Sunanda Jai Vijay Prabhala Bala Kumudaka Vishwaksena Paratrirat, who is the name for Garuda, Jayanta, Shuta Dev, Pushpadanda, and Shattat were all associates of Lord Vishnu. They were as powerful as 10,000 elephants, and now they began killing the soldiers of the demons. So this in the narration of the Vamana and Bali conflict. Jai and Vijay were mentioned among the associates of the Lord fighting. So my mind is going to some comments. So can I make this comment to all of you? And in Gita, the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvata evam yoveti tattvata. One who understands my birth and pastimes in truth. Evam yoveti tattvata. Tattvata, in tattva, proper tattva as it is. Tattva-dehang punarjanma neti mamiti. So Arjuna, doesn't that give a sense to this statement? That it is more than just conjecture, external application of our logic and reasoning, and our tarka and pratishta, our debate and argument, that we can actually understand the pastime of the Lord. Doesn't that conjecture from our part, if we think like that? We can really only understand the pastimes of the Lord when it is revealed by the pure devotees to us. So when Krishna makes this statement, one of my favorite verses, and I find deeper and deeper meaning on this verse daily, every day. or every so often. Janma karma chame divyam, my birth and activities are transcendental. And whoever understands this in truth, they attain my kingdom. So look at this here. These pastimes of the Lord, to understand it in truth, we've gone a few inches deeper into the tattva. Don't you all feel? Yeah? Don't we all feel like we've gone a few inches deeper into understanding the pastimes of the Lord and his relationship with the demons? So in the 8th canto, when there is a fight between Vamana and Bali Maharaj, Jai and Vijay is mentioned as being the associates of the Lord fighting against the demons. But after being born as Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, they would later be born as Ravana and Kumbhakarna. Then the expansion of the expansions must be given in order to resolve the contradiction of being simultaneously in the form of demons and associates of the Lord. So there again the statement, so the demons and the devotees together. Right? So when you hear, and 2 places in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will get that statement. The demons and the devotees worshipping the Lord together. The reconciliation of that bit of contradictory philosophy is found in these pastimes here. So how can you find Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu actually being Jai and Vijay incarnated as demons, expansions of Jai and Vijay in the Swarupa, which is still there. So the Lord says, go, but please don't go, because they are still there in their original expansion. So then that also is a very profound statement that Jai and Vijay, even though they are devotees of the Lord, at one point they are fighting with the Lord as Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. Their identity there is huge, big, monstrous demons. And then the same Jai and Vijay are mentioned with a host of other powerful fighters of Lord Vishnu. Nanda, Sunanda, Kumuda, Kumudaksha, Vishakshena, Garuda, Jayanta, Shudadev. And Jai and Vijay is there with them, fighting against the demons. Right? So they would be later born as Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and the expansion of the expansion must be given in order to resolve. So here they expand, they come down, but they stay in their Swarupa. Any questions or comments? Kamalaksha?
Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, sir. You able to absorb this, Rasavan?
Yeah, this.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, this has clarified my mind entirely, because in fact, it was ringing in my mind. Should they leave the Vaikuntha planets to take birth in the material world? Then, though there are millions and millions of devotees serving the Lord, who are those who replace them in their duties? So this explanation has clarified everything for me, that it just expanded. They should go and they should not go.
Yeah. It's not a question of the service. There's so many other devotees to take up the services. Lord has so many wonderful personalities serving him.
At one time, since it is said that the individual soul has the capacity to expand to 8 times, does it give sense in this type of explanation giving?
I don't know 8 times, but I know that they have ability to expand. Narad Muni expanded into thousands and thousands of forms when he was following the Lord Krishna in Dwarka, and he wanted to see how is Lord Krishna in Dwarka doing this. How on earth he is doing this? Going to 16,108 different queens. So when Krishna left the Sudharma hall, his assembly hall, and he was going home to be with his queen, Narad Muni wanted to see how does he manage it. And then the Narad Muni was following Lord Sri Krishna. And then he saw Lord Sri Krishna actually expand into shh. So now what does he do? He expands similarly into so many forms. And then he followed each one of them. And then he saw that in this place here, with Rukmini Devi, he was taking prasad, and with Satyabhama, he was joyfully teasing him or her. And in another, with Jambavanti, he was acting differently, and so on and so forth. So that is something interesting. Right? So he can expand. The other idea is also is that the Lord devotees can expand according to his desire to satisfy him. Just like Jay and Vijay, they actually desire to satisfy the Lord. And therefore the Lord thought, okay, they want to satisfy me, give him the opportunity. So which came first, the desire of the Lord to fight, or the desire of the devotees to satisfy the Lord in his fighting mood? Hard to say. Hard to say. So maybe the desire of the Lord, because the desire of the Lord, we are dovetailing our service to the desire of the Lord. So the Lord was feeling, oh, I don't have good fighters to fight me. I'm too strong. These guys useless. So then 2 of the famous doorkeepers, his famous kind of fighters, decided, we're going to take that role, my Lord. If you want, we can fight you and give you that joy of, fighting. So very sweet. Yes, Kamalaksha, Prabhu.
Prabhu, God bless you. My question is, can we say this is, in all cases, that everything that happens has an orchestration from the Lord himself? He desires it before it happens?
Yes, in the spiritual world, yes. In the material world, we exhibit our independence in weird ways and strange ways that causes harm to us. In the spiritual world, our desires dovetail to the desire of the Lord. So yes, we have independence, but we serve the Lord in multifarious ways according to the Lord's desire, but he is not forcing us to serve him. We serve him out of love. In the material world, we are forced by modes of material nature. Even though we have some independence, the independence to desire. So we desire in the wrong ways. So we cannot pass the blame onto the Supreme Lord. So just like here's a fine line to here in the spiritual world, the Lord desired, they felt that the Lord had a desire to fight someone big and strong. But the devotees took upon themselves to have that desire now in response to the desire. That was the reading we had. In response to the desire of the Lord to fight, the devotees desired to satisfy the desire of the Lord to fight. Right?
Okay, then Prabhuji.
Yeah, just wait a minute. Is that clear, Kamalaksha?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, yes, Rasavan.
Yeah, in that way, can we say that in the spiritual world, the devotees are capable of telepathically reading the mind of the Lord?
Well, we can put it in another way. Just Jai and Vijay. in the beginning, it was said that they were not synchronized in their desire of the Lord. Why do you stop these boys from coming to see me when you know that I love Brahmanas? Remember? So because I love Brahmanas, why did you stop them from coming? So it shows that they were not in sync. They were not synchronized in the desire of the Lord. So was it that they were not synchronized in serving the Lord nicely? Were they off tune? Were they out of sync? Were they in a different sine wave to the Lord? Now it seemed then, but now it doesn't. It seemed that they had a desire to fight the Lord based on the desire of the Lord to have a big fight. So therefore you can say that they were synchronized. There's full harmony in the spiritual world. So unless we are harmoniously connected to the Lord, to harmonize our desire to serve him in the way he wants to be served, we cannot be in the spiritual world. We cannot go to the spiritual world. That's why he said all other desires has to be zero. Anya vilashta sunyam jnana karmadi anavitam. Things for ourselves, knowledge or desire for any kind of result for ourselves has to become zero. Jnana karmadi anavitam anukulyena. And it has to be favorable for the pleasure and the practice of devotional service in synchronized mood to serve the interest of the Lord. So anushilanam, according to the Lord's desire for his pleasure. So that is actually what's qualified it as Uttama Bhakti or pure devotional service. And therefore, those who are engaged in pure devotional service, Uttama Bhakti in the spiritual world, they are actually on that level. So if there is a slight discrepancy, it is because the devotees is trying to stay in sync with the desire of the Lord. It's a very deep lila. It's very beautiful lila, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, all right, let me carry on. Purport. As explained in connection with text 26, all the incidents that took place had the approval of the Lord. Ordinarily, there's no possibility that the four sages could be so angry with the doorkeepers, nor could the Supreme Lord neglect his two doorkeepers, nor can anyone come back from Vaikuntha after taking birth there. Once come back from Vaikuntha after once taking birth there. All these incidents, therefore, were designed by the Lord himself for the sake of his pastimes in the material world. First, he plainly says that it was done with the approval. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for the inhabitants of Vaikuntha to come back to this material world simply because of the Brahminical curse. That's what I was saying, that comment upstairs, up on the previous verse, that if someone can come back down from Vaikuntha because of a curse, that's a very no-no in terms of what it means to be in the spiritual world. The Lord specially blesses the so-called culprits. All glories unto you. So they were culprits. How can he say all glories unto you? Because they were devotees trying to serve God, the Lord. So a devotee once accepted by the Lord can never fall down. That is a conclusion of this incident. Once you're accepted by the Lord, you cannot fall down. It's that once you are in the spiritual world, you cannot fall down. So there you have another statement. So once a devotee once accepted by the Lord can never fall down. That means, in a sense, that those who are in Vaikuntha cannot fall down. That is a conclusion of this incident. So which way you take it? Very hard to reconcile now. But in a sense, you can reconcile it because Prabhupada uses the word, a devotee once accepted by the Lord can never fall down, which means that if one who goes to the spiritual world, natad bhashayate suryo na shashankana pavaka jad gatva, one who reaches there, na nirvantate, he cannot come down. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. A devotee once accepted by the Lord can never fall down. That is a conclusion of this incident. Okay, so we have make your mind around it, but we can carry on. We can never understand everything. Yes, Kamalaksha, you want to ask something?
Krishna, you mentioned during the course of the explanation that devotees and the demons, they worship the Supreme Lord. I want you to understand more about this in the spiritual world.
I hope I can find the reference. It's a little bit tricky, but I'll find the reference for you if I can. 2934. Yes, it's the statement that is there. It's made. And sometimes we can't explain it, but we're trying to skip it. But then it stays in my mind. Why do I want to skip something? If it is stated, it is stated. Okay, I will go, it will take me a little bit. I will just give me a minute. I'm going back to my Chatushloki Bhagavatam. And this is in relationship to Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So let's just, Canto 2. Chapter 9, text 32, 33. 33. Okay. In the purport, I will find it for you. Just give me a minute. If you have a book in front of you or some kind of a book, please look into 2933 and then 34 and 35 and 36 in the purport. There's an explanation there. I cannot remember which verse exactly. Well, because in one sense, okay, the explanation is the Lord does not fight with non-devotees. He fights with his devotees who takes the role of demons. So when that statement is made that in the spiritual world, in the Vaikuntha planet, the Lord is worshipped both by the devotees and the demons, wouldn't you consider Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha to be demons in their other incarnation? Would you not? Would you or would you not? You would. So therefore, they are demons at one point, and in the other manifestations, they are devotees. And that example also is just given here, that when Bali Maharaj and Vaman, they were fighting, the whole list of warriors who were trying to fight with the demons, and in the list of warriors who are trying to fight the demons are the name of Jai and Vijay. So Jai and Vijay, apparently they're very big, strong fighters. And there they were fighting against the devotees, against the demons. And there they're taking the role of devotees. So sometimes they're devotees, sometimes they're demons, depending on what role the Lord wants to give them. And from that point of view, we can understand that statement in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the purport of one of the 4 verses of Chatushloki, which is 2, 9, 33, 34, 35, and 36. There is a statement there that when I was giving a course at one point, I couldn't understand. And students were asking, I couldn't explain. And even when I was following the class, the teacher was struggling to explain. But when you reconcile it with these pastimes here, you can actually reconcile it and explain. Okay? So please, let's leave it at this point. I will come back to it. It will take me a little time, and it's tiring to look like this. So so I can find it. Next time I can find it, because I do want to reconcile it together here. And these purports of the Chatushloki Gita purport are very, very, very long purport. Very long purport. They're about 15 pages or something like that. So to look for this is, I can't find it. No, I can't find it. It's there. I remember. Okay, Prabhu, we'll go back to our study. We will go to text 30 now. Okay. So etad pureva nirdhishtam ramaya krudaya yada purapava ritadwari vishanti mayuparate. This departure from Vaikuntha was foretold by Lakshmi. Now another point. Another point. The departure of Jai Vijay from Vaikuntha was also predicted by Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. Why? Why? She was angry because when she left my abode and then returned, you stopped her at the gate while I was sleeping. So Lakshmi Devi, sometimes she leaves Vaikuntha and goes and take care of her devotees who generally worship her for wealth and so on and so forth. And she always comes and goes because she's chanchala, in a sense. She's only not chanchala, not fickle, wandering here and there at the lotus feet of Narayan. The rest of the time, she has to go hither, thither. So at one point when she was out of Vaikuntha and when she was returning, Jai and Vijay stopped her at the gate. So it has been a little bit of a habit for them to act like that. Right? So they acted like that also. And Lakshmi Devi had said, he said, the way you two act, one day you're going to go down. She was angry because when she left my abode and then returned, you stopped her at the gate. So let's read this commentary. She was ordained long ago by angry Lakshmi when she attempted to enter the door and was prevented by you two, since Lord Vishnu was sleeping. Right? So though this verse is seen in many editions, it has no commentary because it is not traditionally accepted as a verse. Right? So this is another Prabhupada, when he doesn't make a commentary on a verse, there's some reason that other acharyas have not made any commentary. So the Lord makes this statement, but no commentary is given. Prabhupada doesn't make a commentary, because it said that though this verse is seen in many editions, it has no commentary because it is not traditionally accepted as a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So then it gives a lot of food for thought, you know. So it is not given as a verse that is there. So let's carry on. So these are transcendental confusion, which is very nice. So the Lord assured the two Vaikuntha inhabitants, Jai and Vijay, by practicing the mystic yoga system in anger, you will be cleansed of the sin of disobeying the Brahmanas and within a very short time return to me. But the Lord is saying that you will be cleansed of this, contamination of disrespecting the Brahmanas. So overcoming the offense to the Kumaras by meditating on me in anger, you will quickly return to me. Though you will have the mentality of demons, you will think of me, because I will experience pure happiness in Vira Ras, fighting with you two, when I descend as 3 different avatars. Although you have the mentality of demons, you will be performing service to me That is a mentality, so that the service is really powerfully done. So in the third appearance, I will directly accept you. So he will come in the third appearance. So in the first two appearances, because they are killed by Lord Vishnu, right? Their killing and their anger is not fully accepted as bhakti. But when it is directed towards Krishna in the third one, it is then accepted as bhakti. So he said that, so though you have the mentality of demons, you will be performing service to me. In the third appearance, I will directly accept you by meeting me in battle with anger, or by meditating on me in anger. You will overcome the offense of the Kumaras. You will come near Nikhasham to me after a short while. So purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead advised the two doorkeepers, Jan Vijay, that by dint of Bhakti Yoga in anger, they would be delivered from the curse of the Brahmana. Srila Madhava Muni remarks in this connection that by practicing Bhakti Yoga, one can become free from all sinful reactions. Even a Brahma Shab, or curse by a Brahmana, which cannot be overcome by any other means, can be overcome by Bhakti Yoga. One can practice Bhakti Yoga in many rasas. There are 12 rasas, 5 primary and 7 secondary. Please, can you all make your research for me and present to me tomorrow morning the 5 primary rasas and the 7 secondary rasas. That's a small discussion. The 5 primary rasas constitute direct Bhakti Yoga, which is Shanta Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya rasas. Okay. But although the 7 secondary rasas are indirect, they are also counted within Bhakti Yoga. But they cannot be independent. Just find some information on this. So those who have the 5 primary rasas can exhibit the 7 secondary rasas. But those who do not have the 5 primary rasas cannot exhibit the 7 secondary rasas. So one who is established in his asthai bhav, in his rasa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his relationship as a devotee, either in Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, they can exhibit 7 secondary rasas. Like if you're not established in your rasa with Krishna as a servant or as a lover or as a father or mother, you cannot just be angry with Krishna and say, I have only krodha rasa with Krishna. You cannot do that. Right? That's why it's called secondary, because the secondary rasas are dependent on the primary rasas. Okay? So because these Jai and Vijay, they had primary rasa of being servant of the Supreme Lord established, they can actually exhibit the secondary rasa. So one can practice Bhakti Yoga in many rasas. There are 12 rasas, 5 primary and 7 secondary. The 5 primary rasas constitute direct Bhakti Yoga, but although the 7 secondary rasas are indirect, they are also counted within Bhakti Yoga if they are used in the service of the Lord. In other words, Bhakti Yoga is all inclusive. Do you get this, please? If you don't, raise your hands and I will explain more. If one somehow or other become attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes engaged in Bhakti Yoga as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Kamam Krodha Bhayam. The gopis were attracted to Krishna by Bhakti Yoga in a relationship of lusty desire. Okay? So the gopis have a sthai bhava with the Lord. They are engaged with the Lord in the eternal relationship as conjugal lovers of the Lord. Okay? They are in Madhurya Ras with the Lord. So therefore the gopis can get angry with the Lord, which will enhance their conjugal emotion, their Madhurya Rasa. Now a mundane person walking down the street cannot desire, I want to enjoy laying down with the Lord, being kissed by the Lord, or being fondled by the Lord, or being caressed by the Lord. Cannot desire that. Because that materialistic person does not have a sthayi bhav, doesn't have one of the 5 primary rasas established by the Lord, so he cannot think like that. So whereas the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they are established in one of the 5 sthayi rasas, sthayi bhavas. So therefore they can also exhibit some of the 7. So for example, Satyabhama is sometimes very angry with the Lord. And sometimes Radharani is not very happy with the Lord. And sometimes angry, sometimes she feels proud, and sometimes but they are on a different level. I hope you understand that, but I'm trying to make it as clear as I can. So the gopis were attracted to Krishna by bhakti yoga in relationship of lusty desire, kama. Similarly, Kamsa was attached to bhakti yoga by dint of fear. So Kansa, he had fear of his death. That's bhakti yoga, so fear, but that was attachment because he had a relationship with the Lord in bhakti yoga, right? But the fear, the secondary rasa, was eclipsing the primary devotion. Okay, so Prabhupada's purport, that's why I'm going in detail. So devotees of Lord Vishnu are called non-devotees, or are called demigods, whereas non-devotees are called asuras. But bhakti yoga is so powerful that both demigods and demons can derive its benefit if they always think of the personality of Godhead. So the basic principle of bhakti yoga is to think of the Supreme Lord always. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, "Aman manabhava mad bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru." Always think of me. It doesn't matter which way one thinks. The very thought of the personality of God is the basic principle of bhakti yoga. So in the material planets, there are different grades of sinful activities, of which disrespecting a Brahmana or a Vaishnava is the most sinful. Here it is clearly stated that one can overcome even the grave sin simply by thinking of Lord Vishnu, not even favorably, but even in anger. So even even if those who are non-devotees always think of Vishnu, they become free from sinful activities. Krishna consciousness is the highest form of thought. Lord Vishnu is thought of in this age by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. And from the statements of Bhagavatam, it appears that if one thinks of Krishna, even as an enemy, the particular qualification, thinking of Vishnu, becomes the important point. And therefore that cleanses one from all sins. So we have 5 more verses. Okay. So can we take a little break? Come back in 10 minutes. Okay. Okay. And then we'll finish these 5 verses and we'll finish that chapter. So we can just leave it here, or you can discuss among yourself, and I'm just taking a break for maybe just 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes, because there's no one to stop everything here. So please engage in some discussion among yourselves and give me 5 minutes. I'm just back. I'm just taking some fresh air. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Kamalaksha. All glories. I'm happy to have you around.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories.
Hare
Krishna. Well, it's peaceful, so to say.
Wonderful.
That's how we say when we are doing a security meeting. When they ask, they say peaceful.
That's correct.
but that peace, it's a partial peace.
That's
it's a general
true.
statement. This topic we are discussing is very, very interesting, and how a demon can also be, a
Yes,
devotee.
Very interesting. Very interesting. These are deeper. These are deeper realizations.
Honestly, and it's very deep.
Yes.
So, which means the devotees in the Vaikuntha, they are ready to do anything for the sake of Krishna, even to become
Correct.
a demon.
Correct. Exactly. That's true.
Yeah.
That's very correct.
But actually, one way and the other, that statement is a little bit confusing. How can there be demons in the Vaikuntha realms or the spiritual world? Since
That's why.
Since somewhere we learned that the activities of Krishna in this earthly Vrindavan, there are so many things Krishna performed that are not in the original spiritual world Vrindavan, like killing of the demons. That thing, pastimes are not in the original Vrindavan. So when now we are hearing that demons and devotees serve the Lord in the spiritual world, in fact, me, I'm getting a little bit confused.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anything happening in the spiritual world, is beyond our complete imagination. And wherever we get to Vaikuntha is pure. So every other thing is just like acting. It's like acting, and it's just to tell us that people they are ready to act in any way, just to please the Lord. And then from this our profile, there is no way we can understand all the activities there. We cannot understand everything. That's just the way I see it. That's the way I see it.
That's correct.
This one will give another. If so, then there will be another definition of what a demon is. Is it a demon as we know in the material world?
You see, okay.
A demon world.
Like I refer to this statement that when Krishna says he doesn't manifest himself to the foolish and the unintelligent, if the real demon that we know, or those who doesn't know anything about God, there is no way Krishna can have any close pastimes with them.
Yes.
There's no way. So once you get to Vaikuntha, they are very close to Krishna. But in the material world, we have foolish rascals, and Krishna stated that he distance himself from them. Okay, he doesn't manifest himself to the foolish people and those who are unintelligent. They keep on recycling the birth and death. The cycle of samsara. So it's only when they now associate with a devotee that any of them can have the opportunity, to transcend that level.
So it brings the question to mind, whether the demons there, are they pure?
Yes, they are pure. They are very pure. They are very, very pure. You know, when in the
What we say
Vaikuntha,
is, in a sense, they are not ordinary demons. They are devotees who just want to act as demons to please the Lord.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes. They are not demons in the real sense. They are devotees who are acting pastimes, lila, just to please the Lord in a fighting mode. They want to engage the Lord in fighting to satisfy the Lord. So they are not just the ordinary normal demons that we hear about and read about. So they are different. And then come to think about it. If not for pastime, how would a whole Lakshmi come and she will be accosted on the way? A whole goddess of fortune.
You can imagine. Who will confront her? Who?
Yes.
And you see, Prabhu made a statement about that text. He says it's not a traditional text of the Srimad Bhagavatam, so Srila Prabhupada didn't comment on it. In fact, I don't understand the phrase, why not a traditional? So are there some texts that are traditional? Are there some texts that are not traditional? We need to understand.
Yeah, we may have to ask him when he comes on board.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Because one way and the other, from the happenings of the stopping of the four Kumbaras, and then with this Lakshmi's one, which is being referred to by Vishnu himself, it means that Jaya and Vijaya has been the mood of stopping people who enter, and not only on the that they once did it to Lakshmi.
Yes, but when they stopped Lakshmi, it was for a reason, and they are doing what they are supposed to do there. You know, okay, you have some guards now, and you are sleeping. The guards will not allow anybody to come and disturb your sleep normally. You know, and you know, Jaya and Vijaya, they are the seventh gate, so that's the topmost security. So
yeah,
if you pass the other ones,
when we talking about, you have your guards, and then you have your wife. Can your guard stop your wife?
You cannot. You cannot. You cannot.
So to what extent were they able to stop Mother Lakshmi, the supreme owner of the room?
But Lakshmi is not Radharani. We have many Lakshmis. We have many Lakshmis. Thousands of Lakshmis.
Yes, in the Vaikuntha, she's the overall feminine boss. It is in the Vrindavan Lila that we know of Radharani. Radharani is not in the Vaikuntha realm. You see it?
You're right. Yeah.
So, as a consort of Lord Vishnu, what power or audacity do the Jaya and Vijaya have to stop them?
To stop. We ask Prabhu when he comes. We ask him. We ask him. We ask him.
Oh, Shri Kamalasha.
Hare Krishna, all glory to you, Prabhu.
All glory. Last week we spoke about you.
Huh?
Last week we spoke about you.
Okay.
Your absence affected us a lot.
Oh, very sorry about that. Very, very sorry.
And then we also realized that you are in the rich oil state. You are the owner, master of the rich oil state. So at least we should be benefit from you by giving us some data.
Yes, sir. Free data for all.
Your data can go international.
You are the people in the gold region of the world. Gold is more expensive than oil.
But today in our contemporary world, wherever oil goes, that is where we know the money go. Gold is spoiling in all waters. We can't even get water to drink.
I thank you also.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Either gold or oil, let us have data, no problem. We need data from anywhere, whether it's gold or oil.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Okay, so text 32. After thus speaking at the door of Vaikuntha, the Lord returned to his abode. You see, everything you have to note here. This is very carefully crafted. These verses are very carefully crafted by Vyasadeva. After thus speaking at the door of Vaikuntha, the Lord returned to his abode. So where was he? Where did he meet the four Kumaras?
At the door of Vaikuntha.
So if you don't have Sthai Bhav, Sthai Bhav means a fixed relationship, which is one of the 5 relationships we all have to seek. Shanta, Dasya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, and Sakya. If we don't have, we can't enter Vaikuntha. So these 4 Kumaras, they were Jnanis. They only became devotees by smelling the nectar of the fragrance of the lotus toe of the Supreme Lord. But before that, they were not. So they were allowed through the gates leading to Vaikuntha. But Jain Vijay stopped them at the 7th gate. So then we can have conjecture on whether they were devotees or they were not devotees. They were Brahmanas, but not devotees. Or they were situated in Brahman, but did not have a Sthai Rasa. A Sthai Bhav, one of the 5 relationships developed with the Lord. So how could they enter? So that's why this statement is pregnant with meaning. After thus speaking at the door of Vaikuntha, the Lord returned to his abode. So he was not in his abode. He met them at the door of Vaikuntha, where there are many celestial airplanes and all surpassing wealth and splendor. The abode had so many. So the entrance to the Vaikuntha was itself. So can it be construed as being Vaikuntha? Entrance to Vaikuntha. Entrance to your door is your house. Entrance to the door of your house is your house, or is it outside the house? I leave it to your speculation, okay? So when Hiranyakashipu was killed on the door, was he killed inside or outside?
None of the above.
Right. So when the Lord received them at the gate of Vaikuntha, was he in Vaikuntha or outside Vaikuntha?
Outside.
Oh, come on. Just use the logic you just used.
Yes, we can definitely say.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Inside out. When Hiranyakashipu was killed at the door, at the entrance. It was neither inside or outside. Now, when we say about speaking at the door of Vaikuntha, now you're saying it's inside? Come on. If the logic is good, neither inside, neither outside. Interesting. So we leave it there. We're happy to speculate on the beautiful philosophy of the Lord. As long as we are devotees, we are not trying to deride the Lord. We are appreciating all the intricacies there. So I read the small commentary by Vishwanath and then go on to the purport. After thus speaking to the doorkeepers, the Lord entered his abode. He entered his abode. That means he was at the door. With many airplanes and all surpassing wealth. So inside there was that huge amount of opulence and everything. So purport. It is clear that from this verse that all the incident took place at the entrance of Vaikuntha Lok. In other words, the sages were not actually within Vaikuntha Lok, but they were at the gate. It could be asked, how could they return to the material world if they entered Vaikuntha Lok? But factually, they did not enter, and therefore they returned. So you go to a gate of someone's, and then you're not allowed entry. You cannot say, I went to his house. You can say, I went to the gate of his house, and I was not allowed in. Yeah. That's nice. So, oh, I went to see him, Prabhu. I went to his house. I went to see him. He wasn't in. No, you didn't go in his house. You went to his gate. He wasn't in. So, but factually, they did not enter. And therefore, they returned. There are many similar incidents where great yogis and brahmanas, by dint of the yoga practice, have gone from this material world to Vaikuntha Lok. That's something that happens. Okay? But they were not meant to stay there. They came back. It is also... So there is no disrespect. There's not like, you're bounced off and they have heavy bouncers. Of course, Jay and Vijay were like gatekeepers, in mundane sense, the gatekeepers. So they either check. So why do they have gatekeepers? Because there are many brahmanas, yogis, and other practitioners who try to go to Vaikuntha. And they are not quite there yet to be allowed entry into Vaikuntha. Therefore, they have gatekeepers. So many questions answered. So, but they were not meant to stay there. They came back. It is also confirmed here that the Lord was surrounded by many Vaikuntha aeroplanes. Vaikuntha is described as having splendid opulence. All other living... Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. It is like this statement answer the question that you asked us about the destination of the yogi. You asked that question in the previous lecture. What is the destination of the yogi? They're able to get to Vaikuntha gates, but they couldn't enter, so they have to come back. Does that answer that question?
Not all yogis, because those who are taking the path of Krama Mukti, step by step, uplifting themselves. But if they are going step by step, they reach up to the Brahma Lok. And then they go out of Brahma Lok into the Brahma Jyoti, and then they try to enter the gate of Vaikuntha. Some of them, not all. It's not that all of them, because the destination of the yogi, what is the destination of the yogi? If he doesn't have affection for the Supreme Lord, and he thinks that he's Brahman, he is Paramatma, he ends up in Brahman. But if he has affection for Lord, Vishnu in the heart as Paramatma, then he develops Shantaras. And through that Shantaras, appreciation of the quality and the beauty of the Lord, he enters Vaikuntha. But the success of his entry to Vaikuntha is dictated whether he has developed some affection. But without rati, without affection for the Lord, he cannot enter. Now, the example is for the 4 Kumaras. The 4 Kumaras could not enter because they had really have heard a lot. They wanted to go and scrutinize and see, and were curious to see and to find out, but they had not developed that rasa, that relationship with the Lord. So therefore, they could not enter. So that kind of explains it. Okay.
Yes,
So all other living creatures, including the demigods, are born of Brahma, and Brahma is born of Lord Vishnu. Krishna states in Gita in the 10th chapter, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. This is the first verse of the Chatushloki Gita, 10.8. Lord Vishnu is the origin of all manifestations in the material world. Those who know that Lord Vishnu is the origin of everything, who are conversant with the process of creation, and who understand that Vishnu or Krishna is the most worshipable object of all living entities, engage themselves in Vishnu worship as Vaishnavas. The Vedic hymns also confirm this. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. The goal of life is to understand Vishnu. The Bhagavatam also confirmed this elsewhere. Foolish people, not knowing that Vishnu is the supreme worshipable object, create so many worshipable objects in the material world, and therefore they fall down. 33. But those two gatekeepers, the best of the demigods, their beauty and luster diminished by the curse of the Brahmana, became morose and fell down from Vaikuntha, the abode of the Supreme Lord. So therefore, by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, and by the arrangement of the curse that was given to them by the Brahmanas, which is also the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, and the effect of that curse taking place was also the arrangement of the Lord, because the Lord could have counteracted the curse, but he did not to keep his promise. So therefore, these two, they lost the sort of Suda Sattva platform. In one sense, they stayed there, but they also left, which means that an expansion of them went down to the material world, became morose and fell from Vaikuntha, the abode of the Supreme Lord. Because of the curse of the Brahmanas, which would not be nullified, the best of the deities lost their bliss and the beauty. They said the best of the deities means that they were the best of the servants of the Lord. And the beauty, lost their bliss and the beauty and fell from the planet of the Lord. The word fell should be supplied. Vigatasmayo means that they lost their bliss. They lost their bliss. Means they lost their ananda. Okay. So the verse is Tau tu girvanas rishabho dushtara dharilo kata hatashriyo brahmaspad abhutam vigatasmayo. That's the verse. Okay. So no further commentary by Srila Prabhupada. So we go to text 34. So as they were falling, there was a great roar of disappointment that was coming from the demigods. So then as Jai and Vijay fell from their abode, a great roar of disappointment arose from the demigods who were sitting in their splendid aeroplanes. Now the demigods were in a different realm. O Devatas, my sons, when the two were falling from the abode of the Lord, a great cry of disappointment arose from the best of the aeroplanes on Satyaloka. O Devatas, Putraka, when they fell from the place of the Lord, Vikunta Dishanat, in the best airplanes from Satyaloka, Bimana Griyeshu, a cry was heard. Okay. So they just was hurled down to the material world. And that was seen by the demigods in Satyaloka. 35. Lord Brahma continued, those two principal doorkeepers of the personality of Godhead have now entered the womb of deity. So that is the conclusive word of Brahma. So to kind of, remember he was narrating this to the demigods. Don't worry, I know what's happening. It is the Lord's desire. Something is happening, and he narrated the whole fall of Jai and Vijay from Vaikuntha after the curse of the four Kumaras. That's how the narration is. So this is a Sangati verse. This is a verse that's connecting the episode. So thus two principal doorkeepers of the personality of Godhead have now entered the womb of deity, the powerful semen of Kashyapa Muni, having covered them. So these two, they came as Jiva, as Tattva, Jiva Tattva, and Jiva souls. But they are special Jiva souls. So much power in them. But the Jivas were covered by the semen of Kashyapa. And through the semen of Kashyapa, these two Jivas were injected in the womb of DT. Purport here, small purport, a commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The best of Lord's associates have now entered the semen of Kashyapa, which has entered the womb of DT. Teja means semen. The sentence means that they accepted bodies are sons of deity. So Prabhupada talks about Garbhadhan Sanskar and how the semen is injected into the womb of the mother who will bear the child. And this explanation is given in this purport. And he said this Garbhadhan Sanskar is a great science. 36. Tayorasuyeroradhya tejasha yamayoriva akshitam teja etari bhagavanstad vidicchati. It is a prowess of these twin asuras that has disturbed you, for it has minimized your power. There is no remedy within my power. However, it is the Lord himself who desires to do all this. So he's saying that it's disturbed you, for it has minimized your power, because these two persons, just by their presence in the womb of deity, because they were so powerful personalities, and in the incarnate form as demonic children in the womb of Devahuti, in the womb of deity, right? Therefore, it is the Lord himself who desires to do all of this. So what can I do? Brahmaji is saying, yeah, okay, can't do anything. This is how it is here. So the twin asuras, when they are the twin, in Jai and Vijay, when the four Kumaras went to see Jai and Vijay, they couldn't make out who is older and who is younger, right? So when they were born, it was also the same kind of situation. So they are twins. When twins are born, who is considered younger and who is considered older?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yes, go on.
Okay. When twins were born, the first to appear happens to be the younger, and the second one that came out is the senior.
What is the explanation?
That is a tradition generally accepted in Africa.
Yeah, it's accepted in Africa like that.
Why is it like that?
Okay.
Because it's the first one that is conceived. Then the second one is.
Yes.
I mean,
this is a Vedic action too. So that is actually the truth. This is explained in the Vedas too. So the second one that's born is actually junior, in a sense, because the first one is conceived. The first one that's born is conceived second, and the second one that's born is conceived first. So the second one that comes out is considered senior. So though we will discuss that in relationship to Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu later on. So for certain, your power has been disrupted by the power of these two demons. Now the Lord desired to relieve the situation. So Yamayo refers to twins, but to indicate they were deaf-like. Do something to mitigate the situation. They were deaf-like, they were powerful. They were like bringing the end of the world with them. I'm powerless. I have no power over these two associates of the Lord who have fallen to earth by a curse. The Lord himself desires to mitigate the situation caused by these twins. So it's also showing the extreme power of liberated souls. So you can also imagine the extreme power of an acharya that comes from the spiritual world. Right?
Yeah.
So they come to the good. Yeah. So purport 36. Although Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, formerly Jai and Vijay, became asuras, the demigods of this material world could not control them because they were expansions of liberated personalities. So Lord Brahma said neither he nor the demigods could counteract the disturbance they created. They came within the material world by the order of the Supreme Lord, and he alone could counteract any disturbance. In other words, Jaya and Vijaya assumed the bodies of asuras. They remain more powerful than anyone. Okay? And they remain more powerful than anyone, thus proving that the Supreme Personality of God had desired to fight, because the fighting spirit is there. He is original in everything, but when he desires to fight, he must fight with the devotee. That's his statement here. So you can take that statement. It is Shastra, it is Tika, Tipani commentary, but it is part of commentary written in Prabhupada books, so it's called Shastra. Therefore, by his desire only, Jaya and Vijaya cursed by the Kumaras. The Lord ordered gatekeepers to go down so he could fight them and satisfy his fighting desire. So Brahma showed the demigods that the situation created by the darkness for which they were disturbed was the desire of the Supreme Lord. He wanted to show that even though these two attendants were coming in the form of demons, they were very, very powerful, greater than the demigods who could not control them. The demigods could not control Hiranyaksha and Hirakashipu. They conquered over every corner of the universe. No one can surpass the acts of the Supreme Lord. The demigods were also advised not to try to counteract this incident because it was ordered by the Lord. Not that they could, even if they tried, they could not. Okay, so the last text. Okay, Vishwasya stitilayo dabhava hetu radyo yogeshware yapiduratya yogamaya shemam vidasyati sano bhagavan trayidhisha tatrasmathiya vishrena kiyam mihartha. My dear sons, Brahma is speaking to his demigods. Okay. He said, the Lord is a controller of the free modes of nature and is responsible for the creation, preservation, and dissolution of the universe. His wonderful creative power, Yogamaya, cannot be easily understood even by the masters of yoga. That most ancient person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will alone come to our rescue. What purpose can we serve on his behalf by deliberating on this subject? So he said, we are sitting here deliberating. We have to think, what can we surmise? It is only his desire. And we just were spectators here. The Lord of the free worlds, who is the cause of creation, maintenance, destruction, the original person whose power of Yogamaya cannot be understood by even the greatest yogis, will give security. What is the use of us deliberating on this? He said, the Lord will give security whatever he wants to do with us. Maintain us or kill us, it's really up to him. What can we do? We sit here and we decide, but it is his desire. We are dying right now. When will the Lord mitigate the situation? That you will live or die depends on the desire of the Lord. So it is actually, you have to simply leave it to him. So thus ends the commentary on the 16th chapter of the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam for the pleasure of the devotees in accordance with the previous acharyas. So Prabhupada does not make commentary on this last verse either. Okay, thank you so much. This is the end. And now the demons are in the womb of Diti. The scene is set. Okay, so I'd like to thank you all for attending. Please be punctual, ready to delve into the appearance of the birth of the two demons tomorrow. And read through, if you may, get time. Which is chapter 17, right? So the Lord Brahma, he concludes the narration, and then there is a three short chapters here, 17, 18, and 19. 17 is 30 verses. 18 is 30 verses, more or less. And 19 is also 30, 38 verses. So you can read through. these 17, 18, and 19, Lord Varaha and Hiranyaksha. So it's about 100 verses in these. You can finish it in maybe 5 sessions, hopefully maybe by the end of this month of May, we will finish this up to 19 verses. Okay. I'll have to ask the organizer how many chapters I'm supposed to do. And then after I've done these 2 units, I will stop and someone else will take over. And I will come back afterwards. Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Please read through. If you have questions, write it down. We'll take it tomorrow at the end of my energy level. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Kripa Sindhivya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Gaura Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.